One of the most recognizable faces in the world of sport broadcasting is Robert Marawa, and he has years and years of experience behind his name, and he is also very loved by the public, which is why everyone has been looking forward to hearing his story, hearing how he's gone about not only his career, but his childhood, his school career, and everything that has made the brand Robert Marawa. He joins us here in studio because he recently, and I say that as recent as last night, officially launched this baby here, Gqimm Shelele, the Robert Marawa story. And he is here with us to talk about it. Good morning.
Morning, Bench. How are you?
I don't know.
You look flustered.
Yeah, I told you off air that, listen, the nerves have been eating me up. Yeah. How do I begin this? How do I go about this? Let's first start. I mentioned the launch. Was it everything you imagined?
The launch was beyond my imagination. I think last night was magical. The fact that I could have my mother, all 85 years old, managing to catch a flight for the first time since 2016. My sister Newzroom was there. I mean, the family's always been very supportive of my journey. Extended family was there. People within the industry, people, football players, former players, Teko Modisa, Doc, Brian Baloy, you name, they were there. Two Bafana doctors, one a former, Dr. Victor Ramatisela, who did a splendid job with the emceeing job, Dr. Tulani Ngwenya, who's just recently written a book himself. And as much as Bafana not going to the World Cup, Doc Ngwenya is going to the World Cup. So, it was a whole myriad of people, but very, very inspirational evening, and highly motivating, though, because, Mandy Wiener did push me quite a bit.
Yeah, and by the way, Mandy did mention, I think it's mentioned in the book at the very, very end, that she slid into your DMs one day in 2017.
She did, and I completely ignored that because I did not know what Mandy wanted with me. Mandy is like the person that covers the underworld and all sorts of crime and crooks and everything. So I looked at myself and I thought, maybe I'm a crook. What does she need from me? But also it was just a case of it wasn't the right time. It wasn't the right time to step into that space. I think it wasn't the right time to tell the story, because I always, for me, the next day is about the work that I'm doing. The next day is about the challenge of what the next day holds. It wasn't about writing a book, because I think it's something that needs time. It needs you to think. It needs you to be honest. It needs you to deliver a product that is from the heart.
Yeah. And you speak about inspiration a lot, and your beginnings mentioned in the book something quite extraordinary, because a lot of people might look at you and not believe what is mentioned here. And I think it's worth noting that you are Nkandla's second most famous person. Some people might not know this.
Who's the first?
The first still lives in Nkandla at this moment. But you are from Nkandla, rural KZN.
Yeah, I think the pictures show it. Anyone that doubted, there's a photo of myself, Nomvula, and Kuku, and I'm squeezed in the middle, wearing something similar to what I'm wearing this morning. But it's a case of, that was us. There was no township life. There was no urban life. It was farm life. And in its simplest form. You woke up to farm living, to cows, to goats, to sheep, ordinary farm life. And we knew no better. And that's the beautiful thing, is that whatever I got to know was the process. Whatever I got to know was whatever I yearned for, whatever I wanted, whatever I fought for, especially in terms of career. But there were no choices. I mean, what do you wake up to do on a farm? You know?
To milk cows.
We did that. We did that, and it was a beautiful thing, because you always look forward to it. I mean, imagine looking forward to milking a cow, but it was a process, and if you could do it, you go through different stages of learnership in terms of doing it.
A whole Robert Marawa milking cows every morning without fail. If you get the book, you'll get to hear all about how he was. I don't know what you call I forget what you called the person who taught you
Cow to milk.
Yes.
Uqatolo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Blackjacks, but his name was Uqatolo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he helped me with everything, from sheep shearing to going to the dip to milking the cows. He was the man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing that you spoke about quite prominently was your parents and the support that they gave you and your siblings with the little that they had. Your mother as a nurse having to leave her profession to help your father with business and all of that. You sort of honored them quite a lot in the book as well. And
deservedly so. Remember, I had to try and almost justify why I didn't complete my law degree.
Yeah.
Why I was a dropout. Why I didn't finish with such a few half-year courses left. So I couldn't be a dropout at university, but also be a dropout in broadcasting. So I needed to excel somewhere.
Yeah.
And that is why I spent so much time enforcing the career path that I'd chosen. But also to honor them, because they were always supportive. My mother played a role, my dad played a role. And, you know, it was always funny because when I started doing radio, and my dad was so passionate about sports as well, he would then try and phone into the talk show that I was doing at Metro at the time to give his opinions.
Yeah.
Like, let's say after the Chiefs and Pirates game, he would phone in, disguise his voice. And my mother's like, no, hey, man, Frank, you know, leave the thing, you know. You can't put your son in such a bad spotlight.
An awkward position.
Awkward position, but it took some time to make him understand that, you know what, I know how much you feel about this, but you can't.
Yeah.
You know, so my mother had to rein him in.
Yeah. And you spoke about, this is long, what I mentioned now is long before you get to those broadcast days.
Yes.
Where you are known as this sport broadcasting royalty in South Africa. But sport does not begin there for you. It starts at a very early age, before television in South Africa.
Of course, it was a radio. It was a little tiny radio. I mean, my fascination with radio and sport, but especially football, because I can't say I was listening to javelin and shot put and gymnastics. No, I was listening purely to football. South African football.
Yeah.
Heroes that I would get to meet later on in life. I had to visualize and imagine what an Ace Ntsoelengo looked like, or Teenage Jaja, or Lasbon, Vincent Makroti, or any of those people. Those were individuals that I had to listen to on the radio. And then you progress and you start reading magazines and you see, oh, Stuart Lilly looks like this, or Mike Lambert looks like this. Oh, this is Patson Banda. Oh, you know, this is Toy Ramusa.
Connecting Koos Gadebe's voice with the face.
I mean, unmatched, untouched Koos Gadebe in terms of what he was doing. So that was my fascination. It was just a little radio with the little aerial, and every weekend, that was my occupation.
And also, you were a hit with the kids at school, in boarding school at some point because of that
the radio.
but also, you played. You were not just fascinated with sport and listening and reading articles. You played.
Yeah.
And you actually played with Bob Skinstad.
I did.
At Hilton.
At Hilton, yeah. So you can imagine, I know nothing about rugby. I'm from Little Flower. I come to this, you know, posh school where they've got all these sports. There's hockey with the stick. I don't know. I've not been exposed to these sports. And there's cricket and there's rugby. Obviously, there's no football. I mean, that is still something that we still need to fight a lot of. Yes, Hilton now has football. You know, there's a gentleman, Lumbanja. He's done well in making sure that soccer is introduced. But there are a lot of so-called private schools and whatever that don't have football as an offering. And that is very problematic. The issue is why? Why deny a kid who's talented in football an opportunity to start early, serve them the same way as they did with rugby? So the long and short of it is, I mean, I had to learn rugby, learn what it's about, funny shaped ball, but you learn. You're there for 5 years, so make the most of it. And I ended up playing, you know, second team. I was lock. Bob Skinstad was in the scrum with me. He was a year behind, and, you know, so he went on and played first team and then went on to become Springbok captain and everything else. I mean, there were many guys, Gary Teichman, you know, Henty Martins, they were all there, and they went to play at the highest level in terms of rugby. But I ended up playing rugby, played basketball, Ended up, you know, I was captain on 2 occasions of the first team of the basketball, played Natal Midlands as well, got to varsity, played both basketball and football. So, yeah, I participated, man. You know, it was sport to sport.
Yeah, Bob Skinstad, of course, having gone all the way. I think he was member of that Springboks team that won the 2007 World Cup in France. You talk about now, you talk about Hilton having a football, starting to have football. One of the things that you've championed in your career is transformation. We speak a lot about transformation in sport, whether it's a school in Soweto, Siana Marena, for instance, not having the equipment, the coaching for transformation to happen organically, for sporting codes that were formerly known as only for whites or reserved for white people. And you've championed that. And similarly, you are now talking about Hilton needing, or the elite schools, so to speak, down the road here at Saints, similar thing. They need to have sporting codes that accommodate everyone that is there.
Yeah. I mean, post-94, a lot changed in this country. I always say that the late Steve Tshwete was a sports minister that we needed now. It's a pity that he, with the love for sport, the knowledge for sport, I think also just the aggression for change in sport was maybe ahead of his time.
Yeah.
We miss the kind of wisdom that he brought onto the table. And that is usually the problem with like political appointments, is that one minute you're a minister of sport, the next thing you're minister of sanitization and water affairs, and the next thing. So how do you get to understand all of these things?
Continuity is lost somewhere.
How are you going to move from a different department to come now and police sport when before you were policing police? It makes no sense, you know. So for us, the biggest challenge was deal with transformation. Yes, we took a knock as far as the room dividers, for example, is concerned on Metro. But it was a deserved knock, because what happened in Japan, the most transformed team ever in the history of this country, went and lifted the Rugby World Cup, and they came back with it, with the black captain for the very first time. And the same people who were bashing us for fighting transformation were the ones ululating and going on ticker tape parades and, you know, parading themselves as, you know, hey, we're stronger together, you know.
And it's that kind of outspoken nature that you have and have had on radio. The room dividers, also a legendary feature as well on your radio shows. And it's gotten you into trouble several times. That and a whole lot of other things, the views that you've had about certain things, they've rubbed people in high places up the wrong way. And you mentioned that in the book. You used the word several times, a cabal.
Yeah. No, the thing is, you mentioned higher places. Those people then shouldn't be in higher places if they can't take a little bit of questioning and asking for accountability. So you can't be in a higher place if you're not going to be accountable. Asking questions is not committing a crime. Committing a crime is you being inactive, you doing nothing. You seeing kids out in the streets smoking benzene, glue, drinking, as opposed to saying, can we get you off the streets? What do South Africans know about Tunonjing, a 21-year-old kid from the Eastern Cape who's a world boxing champion today? He went to Mexico and he won that fight. He came back a world champ. How many people actually know of his existence? Nobody, because the people don't care, you know. And one day, if he loses his track, they'll say, look at him. He used to be a world champion. But we don't support the kid. We don't make sure that he becomes a greater child. And when you fight for these things, it's about recognition. I mean, where's Sim Tiger today? We know him as one of the youngest, most brilliant golf players. But trust me, if Sim Shelele, Sim Tiger was Sim Van Vieren, he would be all over the place. He would be a hero. They'll probably be building statues of him all around the country already. And that is what I always say is the problem in this country, is that we don't balance the support systems and structures around sport. Sport is a way out of poverty. Where do you think Neymar would have been or Ronaldinho would have been if it wasn't for football? Football was their way out of the favelas, you know, in South America, in Brazil, and they use football as a means to get by. And now they, you know, billionaires in terms of, you know, whatever, dollars or euros.
Yeah.
But we don't look after our own. We're happy to see them fall and say, look at Chabang, he's finished. But we didn't put support structures around him to help him become a better person. When we gave him that 50,000 rand, him having not earned anything before, did we sit him down and say, this is how you can structure your money? You know, this is how you need to save. This is what you need to do, medical aid and so on. We didn't. We just, here's 50K, have a good time.
Yeah, time, Rob, time. I have so many things to talk to you about, but time. You spoke also, I mean, you don't normally speak about your personal life. And
yes.
In particular, chapter 27, you let the public into that space. I think this is the first time you've opened up on all of that. What inspired the decision to let people into your personal space like that? Chapter 27 talks about Pearl Thusi.
Yes.
Why the decision to open up about that?
Because Pearl Thusi was my fiancée. If I didn't include it, people would ask, why did you leave it out? So I have no shame or embarrassment, and that is why she was there last night at the launch. It's because she supports the journey. You know, we were very, very strong friends. We connected in many different ways, you know, whether within the relationship or post the relationship.
Yeah.
So for me, you know, it's a nothing issue. It's a relationship where I've never been married. I was close to being with her, but obviously being within the industry, she had to go to Quantico in the US, and you know, a lot of different things come into play, and then it ends. But your trash ploids would always feast on how or what supposedly might have happened.
What happened?
Yeah, but you know, we don't worry about that.
Okay, Bra Rob, we are fresh out of time. I wanted to talk to you, as I said, about a whole lot of things. But thank you for letting us in. Thank you for Gqimm Shelele. And I'm going to leave it here.
Sure.
And I'm going to give you that camera over there. And we're going to close it like you do.
But you've just said it so beautifully.
I'm not, it's not mine.
But you've just said it.
Vala, Bra Rob.
Eh? When I do it now?
Let's do it. We're out of time.
Okay, bring the book then, so I can get inspiration with your... Hey, I mean, he's obsessed with chapter 27, this man. He said I'm talking sport, then he throws me under the bus. All right, thank you so much for inviting us to Newzroom Africa. This has been the sports section with Benji the Bench. Sese Vala, Siti Tengani Ngwati, Siti Gqimm Shelele.